My name is Jennifer Caldwell, and I am the Chief Development Officer here at Food Share, your food bank of Ventura County.
We began offering takeout and no contact delivery. It was back in March.
We had to change our process in that we've had to purchase a lot more of our food that we distribute.
Reminds me when I was a kid, walking the streets and just eating like street corn, right? So it's a beautiful street corn that we
Welcome, everyone, to the 4 at 4 forums. We are live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Today's program is starring guest host Laura Moreno-Lucas. And now, here's Laura.
Thanks, Mike, for that warm introduction. Hello and welcome everyone to our 4 at 4 forum. My name is Laura Moreno-Lucas, and I'm proud to host today's incredible panel. On today's show, we'll be talking about women on corporate boards and leadership roles with some incredible women, starting off with Betsy Berkhemer. She's had an incredible career and the author of The Board Games. Pam Kessler, CFO and Co President of LTC Properties and board member at Physicians Realty Trust, both NYSE companies. Susan Steen, former EVP at Warner Brothers. And Deb Richard, LPGA Pro Golfer and coach of C's on T's. A group that I'm really excited to join myself. All right, well, I'd like to start by giving them an opportunity. We'll go around and learn a little bit more about each of our panelists' story. But before we go into the Q&A part, let's get to know them. We'll start off with Betsy. Betsy, can you tell us a little bit, a quick 1-minute bio and intro about yourself?
Thank you, Laura. I'd certainly be delighted to. And hello, everybody. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of a campaign that is global called the 2020 Women on Boards. And we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. We're also celebrating the achievement of more than 20% women on the corporate boards of publicly held companies in the United States. And we also have a research that tracks how many women are on public company boards in the Russell 3000. I'm also the CEO of a retained executive search firm called Berkhemer Clayton, and we know what board searches are all about here in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Betsy. Now moving on to Deb. You're on mute, Deb. There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Laura. It's wonderful being here with everybody. I have a little bit different background track. I played on the LPGA Tour for 20 years. I was fortunate enough to win 6 times. Prior to joining the LPGA Tour, I was a national champion. Those are the things I'm most known for in the public sphere. However, it is my work in building 3 nonprofits. I took them from ideation to implementation to sustainability, all of which required recruiting and building a board of directors from scratch and leading those organizations as chairwoman that brings me here today. I'm currently CEO of Burlap Leaders. It's my company. I'm an executive coach. I am the author of Trust, Understanding My Why. And as you mentioned, I coach the C's on T's golf series for executive women.
Thank you, Deb. Fantastic. All right, moving on to Pam. Pam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, yes. I'm Pam Kessler, and Laura, as you introduced me, I am the co-president and CFO of LTC Properties. We're a $2 billion healthcare real estate investment trust that invests in senior housing and skilled nursing properties throughout the United States. And I'm also on the board of Physicians Realty Trust, another healthcare REIT, a $4.5 billion healthcare REIT that invests in medical office properties. I got my start in accounting and finance with Ernst & Young, and I was fortunate enough to be in their real estate group, and I fell in love with real estate and have been in that sector my entire career. And I love what I do. I'm very fortunate that after working in every asset class in real estate, I finally found the combination of mission-driven care for our nation's elders and merging that with real estate.
Thank you. And finally, Susan.
For having me. I started out my career at Warner Brothers 30 years ago and recently retired there as EVP Worldwide Marketing for Theatrical. While I was there, I took on the experience of working for LA Family Housing and dipping my toe in philanthropy. I then went on to be on the board of the Arthritis Foundation for several years, and then most recently the Ronald McDonald House LA. And we're about to put on our virtual gala October 21st. I am also chairperson for a profit company, Post Ad Groups. And I'm just enjoying all of it and learning as I go, and I just want to do more of the same.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're going to start kicking things off with Betsy. Betsy, we'll start off with a question for you. Can you please, I mean, we've all heard about some of the new laws that have been passed around women on boards. Can you tell us a little bit more about the California law SB 826 and what that means for women who are pursuing corporate boards?
Well, there's never been a better time for women to seek corporate board positions. And by that, I mean public company boards of directors. And because of the California law, which took 7 years to have an overnight miracle, it was 7 years to get it passed. Started with an idea that I'm proud to say I wrote and submitted to the California legislature, to the Women's Caucus back in 2012. And then it was a long, long haul to finally get it passed in September of 2018. Now, the law required, and still does, one woman, experienced businesswoman, on every public company board that's headquartered here in the state of California and that was for the first year, 2019. And as a result of that, 200 women got onto corporate boards in California last year. The next deadline in the law is that a minimum of 3 women have to be on corporate boards, all the public company boards in the state, by the end of 2021. And what that's going to mean for women, and many women on this phone call and many women listening in, is that there will be 600 more seats on corporate boards for women. And these are certainly the publicly held companies in California that are growing, and shareholders, as well as the recent law that are requiring the numbers on women on boards. And this is not an equal representation issue. This is a business issue, because independent research over recent years has demonstrated that when women serve on public company boards, those companies do better and are more profitable, and are more productive, and the workforce is better engaged. Therefore, shareholders and investors alike, institutional investors, are very interested in having more women serve on corporate boards. So that's the situation.
Wow. Well, congratulations. And what a huge accomplishment and a huge opportunity for women in general. I am thrilled to, see that number grow up to 600. That is fantastic. Well, let's move over to Deb. Deb, beyond some of the technical skills of being on a board, what should potential board members be thinking about to become a successful board member?
I think it's a great segue off of what Betsy was talking about and what the research has shown, how once women are integrated into the boards, the companies actually are performing better. So why is that? And it has everything to do beyond the skills, because everybody has skill, technical talent to be on a board. But what is so special about it, when you start blending male and female onto these boards, it's a variance of perspective. And perspective is gained through your life experiences. It's taking your strengths and values as your foundation, How are you having all these different life experiences? And how does that impact the way you think, your decision making, and how you go about things? And I promise you, all executive men and executive women think very differently. Their life experiences are different, and their perspectives are incredibly different. And having the balance of those thoughts is incredible, as the research is showing.
Yes, having that combination of both sides and that perspective. Great. All right, let's move on to Pam. Pam, you've used some of those skills that both Betsy and Deb have talked about. Can you talk about your journey to serving on a board of on the board of Physicians Realty?
Sure. And I neglected to say I'm also on boards of nonprofits as well. I'm on the board of the Providence Cedars-Sinai Tarzana Foundation. That's a hospital in Tarzana that's doing a $650 million basically hospital rebuild. And I also serve on the Dean's Executive Council for the School of Management at Cal Lutheran. So I think that board service, whether it be not-for-profit or for-profit corporation, is it's a similar skill set and a similar path to get there. The things that are most important, I think, and Betsy, I've done Betsy's seminars, I've read her book, and I've golfed with Deb and done her leadership series and read her book, and there's tremendous takeaway value in there. But the theme that echoes and recurring is your networking skills. And for some of us like me in finance, that is stepping out of your comfort zone. Deb has a whole discussion about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And so that was the first thing I had to do, was reach out, expand my networking group, and be intentional. See what my goals were, which was a little hard. You say, I want to serve on corporate boards. And you think, people are going to say, well, what do you know about corporate boards? But you've been in business. No, you've reported to boards. If you have served on nonprofit boards, you certainly understand the structure. And one of the things I think that's most critical on boards, and what fellow board members are looking for when they're recruiting and welcoming a new member, is your problem-solving skills for sure, but also how you get along with others. And golf has taught me a lot of that. I'm not a good golfer. I'm a recent golfer, but I got the courage from Deb to get out there and play. The dock board plays, and senior executives that dock play. And I did my first game this year, and I wasn't as awful as I feared. What you learn through golf is a lot about people. And all of this is people skills. Boards, you're going to be challenged on boards. There's going to be unforeseen circumstances, and you have to problem solve with people. You're not by yourself doing whatever you want to do. So I would say wherever you can cultivate those skills, nonprofit boards, great to do that, and expand your network. And don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to tell people. My interest is serving on a board.
Well, it's fantastic that you've used some of the skills that, both Betsy and Deb have shared. All right, let's move on to Susan. Susan, we know that you have spent most of your career at Warner Brothers. Would you be on a board? Would you want to be a board member at another entertainment or media company, or would you think a consumer-facing company in other categories would be of interest?
I think that because I was so much on the business side of marketing at Warner Brothers, that I'm really interested in how to help other businesses grow their product and their client base and so forth. And in essence, I think there's a great opportunity to help people think differently about the way they do things. I know that what I learned was to be always open to innovation and opportunity, working with people outside the scope of those people that were necessarily there at Warner Brothers, to bring new ways of thinking in. And that's the way I moved our business forward as best I could. And that's where I was successful. And that's why I got to be an EVP of Warner Brothers, because I was always working on moving it up and upping our game as a performance. So I just think that there's something new and different about the consumer piece for me. And I also think that if you're watching the news and so forth, you know that the movie business that I was involved in so many ways will never be again. And it's not an opportunity to be part of that. And I sort of treasure what I had, because what I had was the best of the film studios. So I want a new opportunity. I want to be able to help a new business. And that's where I'm focused.
Well, what great experience, and congratulations on everything that you've accomplished. Well, that's some great intel from all of our panelists and some good information. Let's go ahead and take a quick short break now for some music. Our music director, Paul Piazzi, is going to be singing and playing for us, joined by the Hamlin House Brass Brigade. Take it away, Paul.
Hey, Laura, great conversation so far. Love it. Just want to introduce the band quickly. That's Stephen Nutt on tuba, Ulysses Cruz on trumpet, Tomo Downs on saxophone. My name is Paul Piazza. We are the Hamlin House Brass Brigade. As the title suggests, we all do share a house together, so social distancing doesn't apply too much to us, but I hope you enjoy. This tune celebrates the work of a great man who invented a great thing that changed humanity forever. Here we go. Jimmy E. Pepper was a southern-born high-stepper. Well, he stepped up to a barkeep and he handed him a letter. It said, make me a drink that tastes both bitter and sweet, but don't you serve me neat, 'cause yes, I guess I'm old-fashioned. Gold honey, warm fuzzy, take you to Kentucky with the corn mash bluegrass glasses at the Derby. Yes, it's smoky up in here, but the ice is crystal clear. I'd serve it with the twist, 'cause yes, I guess I'm old-fashioned. Old-fashioned, you got me on the rocks. Old-fashioned, you knock me off my socks. Old-fashioned, the feeling never sucks. Well, you can give me gin and tonic, but my bourbon always tops it. Colonel Jimmy Pepper was a changed man forever when he stepped up to the tender and he handed him that letter. Now we have ourselves a drink that tastes both bitter and sweet, but don't you serve me neat, 'cause yes, I guess I'm old-fashioned.
And we're back. Thank you. That was awesome. It makes me definitely want to have a cocktail. All right. Well, we're back, and let's pick up the conversation with Betsy. Betsy, obviously, with your experience, you can share some insights on maybe what some three key things on getting on a corporate board are.
Sometimes it seems like an overwhelming task to say, well, I'm going to start my journey to serve on a corporate board. But if you can identify these three areas it will help you. Just take it one day at a time, one bite at a time. The three keys to getting on a corporate board are: one, greater visibility in your own industry, because in your own industry where you've had a long career, you probably are more likely to be remembered for a recommendation or endorsement of you for a potential corporate board. All board searches are handled confidentially, and board recommendations are made really by other board members who already know the women or men they are recommending. The second key is to get prior board experience, because no board wants to have on-the-job training with their board members. So you say, well, that's a chicken and the egg, because how can a woman get prior board experience if she can't get on her first board? What counts is nonprofit board experience, commission experience, or even the experience, as Pam said, of presenting to your own corporate board where you work. The important thing is to get the understanding of the dynamic of how the board works and to understand how to make things happen on a board. And the key to the board's activity is that they are visionaries, they are the strategists, they don't do the work of the company, but they advise for overall growth and development. There's one third one, and Pam referred to that, and that is networking with your top 25 people you can think of who probably don't know that you have the experience to serve on a corporate board. So your goal is to identify those 25, take them out to a cup of coffee, or with Deb's counsel, take them out to a golf game, and let them know about your experience, your prior board experience, as well as your business experience, and your understanding of your specific industry, that understanding that you could bring to other boards.
Thank you, Betsy. That's great. And it's a great segue to Deb on, how do you prospect women executives to get the inside game and build those relationships with board of director influencers?
I think the biggest thing is learning how to say yes. I think there are a lot of coaches out there that work with, executives and learning how to time management, do all these things, which means saying no. I really like to take the perspective of saying yes. And so I tell the women that are new to the game of golf, that come into our program, learn how to say yes when there's an opportunity to go out with executives and spend the day with them playing golf. It is like no other relationship building experience you can replicate. I think Pam learned this. She referenced it earlier in her conversation, that when you get that 4 hours with somebody in a relaxed atmosphere, now you get to know who are their kids, where do they go on vacation, what do they really enjoy doing, what are the other things important to them outside of work, and you're getting that opportunity to share that about you. That is the building of an authentic relationship and being able to now weave personal and professional, and that opens doors.
Right. And then, moving on to Pam, to saying yes. How do you balance that? How do you balance serving on a public board and also having, a job?
It is a fine balancing act. And I've been asked, regarding serving on other boards. And I think as a sitting executive, you really, one public company board is probably your limit, because you want to do your very best job. And that means committing a substantial amount of time. Your nights and weekends are not so much your own, but that's okay. It's so fulfilling. But it is like anything in life, it is a balancing act. And I would say, to add on to what Betsy and Deb said, is if you think this is something you want to do, you should plan for it early and take the steps, because it requires a lot of planning. So much like in your career where you're planning where you want to be, you say, where do I want to be? What's your goals, 1, 2, 3, 5 years out, and then work backwards from that. So otherwise it is quite overwhelming, because you need to do a board bio, both long and short form. And there's, your LinkedIn profile. I can't even stress how important that is. And I had not paid attention to mine at all. And then definitely getting involved, as Deb said, saying yes. And that's saying yes to, it used to be before the pandemic, but now they're virtual cocktail hours where you're networking with your peers, because you never know your peer who actually is an executive. Like for me, I'm in peer groups with other CFOs. You never know if that company might be conducting or about to conduct a board search. And if they're looking for someone with financial background, or as in Susan's case, marketing background, you will be front of mind. So having these regular conversations keeps you out there and fresh, a fresh thought, like who's the first person they're going to think of. And everyone has a skill set to offer. Good boards are not looking for the same type of person. They want, as I call it, a 360-degree view. That's what the chairman and the CEO and everybody wants, is a 360 view, because if they're just hearing an echo of themselves, they have many blind spots. They want to know where their blind spots are. So
good diversity of thought, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Susan, you've had some high profile boards, including the Arthritis Foundation and Ronald McDonald House, nonprofits, as Betsy was saying, that it's good to get that experience. Can you share some guidance on how you landed some of these board seats with these high profile nonprofits?
Yeah, of course. Well, initially the Arthritis Foundation was something that the producer, Debbie Snyder, and her husband, Zach Snyder, were very active in the Arthritis Foundation. And Debbie and I had worked together, and she asked me to be a part of the first gala chair. And from there, I went on to join the board. It was a lot of learning on the job in terms of the dynamics of a nonprofit board. The board I'm on, that is a for-profit company, it's quite a bit different in terms of, everyone knows what the rules of the game are when you're engaging in capitalism. But when you're talking about a nonprofit, you have a lot of intersecting things happening. You've got internal dynamics with the team, and you're trying to execute against strategy for a gala or whatever the event is. So I've learned an awful lot about how to stay very focused on what I'm trying to accomplish. That's what nonprofit boards have done for me. And I appreciate very much Debbie Snyder giving me the opportunity to be on the Arthritis Foundation board, because I enjoy the work, and I've loved being on the Ronald McDonald House. And I think what the nonprofit offers is there are so many different interacting aspects of what is going on in the house, because it's a nonprofit, that you just learn on the job about those things that are attractive and those things that perhaps you want to narrow your scope, because you can only manage so much. So that's been challenging on a personal level, because I tend to say yes to everything. And it's been good. It's been very productive for me, because it's taught me a little lesson about where I need to say no and how do I manage that. So, self-growth is foremost in what you get out of the nonprofit world, in my mind. And then, of course, doing the work you're doing is so satisfying when you see the families staying together during a very sick child's experience of an illness. What could be more rewarding than that happening? So it has led to great things, and I went from the arthritis to Ronald McDonald House, as so many people do. Again, all of you have spoken to it, based on relationship. I was close with the president. I got close to the president of the Arthritis Foundation, and he, in turn, when he went to Ronald McDonald, asked that I join him. So it's as all of you have chimed in and said, it is relationship based, and why it's so important to keep putting your profile out there and letting people know you're interested.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you for sharing that, Susan. Now make sure I keep all you ladies in my in my connections here. All right, we're going to take another break from the discussion for some more music. Let's bring back the Hamlin House Brass Brigade.
Hi guys, welcome back. So we're going to do a standard jazz tune. This is Misty. The music was written by Errol Garner, and it's just a great ballad, so we hope you enjoy This Is Misty. look at me. I'm as helpless as a kitten in a tree, and I feel like I'm hanging from a cloud I can't understand. I get misty when holding your hand. Walk this way, and 1,000 violins begin to play, and it could be the sound of your hello. The music I hear makes me misty whenever you're here. Can't you see that you're leading me along, which is just what I wanted you to do? Can't you see that I'm hopelessly lost? That's why I'm following you. On my way, as I wander this wonderland alone, I can't tell my right foot from my left, my hat from my glove. I'm too misty and too much in love. Tomo Downs on the saxophone. Can't you see that you're leading me on? And it's just what I wanted you to do. Can't you see that I'm hopelessly lost? That's why I'm following you. On my own, as I wander this wonderland alone, I can't tell my right foot from my left, my hat from my glove. I get misty and too much in love.
Bravo! Thank you. Wow, music just puts you in such a different headspace. So relaxing. I love it. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're back to discuss with our panelists some closing remarks. I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to give us some final thoughts. We'll start with Deb.
Thank you, Laura. Final thoughts. I think the pursuit of being on boards is just such a dynamic and great experience. But as everybody's pointed out, you've really got to be willing to go in and put in the work. It's hard work, especially from my experience, more so on the nonprofit side with 6 board experiences. The work's hard, but you got to be committed. And I do everything that way. I mean, obviously, with my golf background, you never walk in unprepared. And so, if you are willing and able and excited about the business that you're going to step into to bring your perspective and bring your joy about the world and how you do your decision making, it's an unbelievable experience because you do have an opportunity to not only influence, but really to bring an impact in a fundamental way. And I'm just excited with the work that Betsy has done. To be at the forefront of getting the law in California established And more and more women are now getting that opportunity to step onto boards. And the greatest part about it is that as it happened, all these companies are benefiting from it. So it really is, the snowball's left the top of the mountain, and everything about it is positive. And so my hat's off to Betsy. What you've done is amazing. And what you continue to do is just phenomenal for executive women and giving them something to aspire to that's real. So,
yes. Bravo. Yes. Giving us that opportunity. Fantastic. So Betsy, I mean, that is, in thinking about that opportunity, there's 600 openings that you mentioned earlier. How does one, where do you go to look for these opportunities? How do you raise your hand? I know you guys talked a lot about, the networking and all of the different things, but where do you go to do that?
Well, remember, it's all confidential. So there's no list of board openings, and your responsibility is to you as women in the audience to first of all go to the 2020 Women on Boards website. That's 2020wb.com. Filter our research, which is on the front page for California companies. See which ones are zero companies. Now, many of them in 2019 added a woman, but you can look then when you see a company that you know someone on that board, or you would like to be on the board, you think you know somebody who knows somebody, then look up their website, see if they've added a woman. And if they have, you can still reach out to the director or person there you might know and tell them of your experience and that you are qualified to be on a corporate board if you've made several steps toward that, identifying what your qualifications are. Another thing you can do is attend our Get On Board workshop. The next one is September 14th and then September 28th. It's just a three afternoon, 90-minute session on 3 afternoons in 1 week. That's it. And you can find out about those also on our website. But always remember what Deb and Pam and Susan have said about the networking in your nonprofits and the networking in other business circles that you have. It is those people who already know you and have seen you in action. Those are the ones who are going to recommend you for corporate boards. So remind them, call them up, give them a virtual cup of coffee, send them a Starbucks card or something, and send them your resume if you don't have a board profile, and tell them, ask them their counsel. But those contacts, and Susan, you did exactly the right thing in your nonprofit board involvement. And there are people on those boards who serve on corporate boards. So those are your immediate networks to reach out to. And the reason that you want to serve on nonprofits in order to provide the service and the public service that those boards do, but you also want to be making those connections. And if you're still young in your career and you haven't been on nonprofit boards yet, do join one. And especially the easiest to get on is your own industry trade association. And then you are known by the other people in the industry as to the way you get along on a corporate board. And those are contacts to recommend you. So start working now in order to talk to your contacts.
Yes, and the 28th of September, that's my birthday. So I think I'll have to use that as a birthday gift.
Definitely.
Susan, final thoughts?
I just really appreciate this opportunity because I've gotten so much out of listening to and talking with all of you. It's inspiring. I think Betsy probably said it best, but it's sort of little steps and just doing what you can manage and making sure that you're always holding onto those connections and activating where you can. And it's true, you never know what other boards people are on. I mean, it's remarkable how many people have come to me that I wouldn't necessarily have asked anything of, but just by being associated, they came forth and offered up help or services and so forth in this regard. And so it's just making the most of everyone you know and doing it from an organic place.
Thank you. And finally, Pam.
Yeah, and I would agree with what Deb said is say yes. I mean, be selective in your saying yes, because the worst thing you can do is say yes to too many things and then do nothing well, right? Because you're spread too thin. So be intentional about what you choose to do, and then throw your heart and all your efforts into it. I think you could also start with your own board. If you are a public company and have a public board, or a private company and have an advisory board, check with your CEO and chairman first. But if you could have a 30-minute cup of coffee with a board member and pick their brain, ask them, what path they took to get where they are, what things they could recommend, and subconsciously you're telling them that you are interested. And most of these people sit on other boards, especially when they're, retired from the executive life, they tend to sit on multiple boards. And there could be an opening in another board that they sit on that now they've just had a cup of coffee with you and they understand your strengths, and you could be the perfect fit for another board that they're on. And also looking at, as Betsy said, as you put your board bio together and you're thinking years out, right? You're not thinking, I want to do this tomorrow. You're thinking, this is what I want to do, in a year or 2 or 3 years. You can start to fill in the gaps, the places where you think you should get more experience. Then that's an intentional raising your hand and saying, yes, I would like this opportunity. And always looking ahead.
Yeah, and it's entirely up to each woman if she's going to be able to get herself on a corporate board. No one is going to call out of the blue. You've got to do it yourself.
Yep.
Proactive. Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been so helpful and definitely a lot of great insights to share with our audience. All right, before we wrap it up, we're once again going to bring our music director, Paul Piazzi, to tell us a little bit more about what's coming up in the future weeks. Paul, you're on mute.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Fix that.
Yeah.
Job one of a music director, actually be heard. So thanks so much, everybody, for coming on in. We've got, once again, the Hamlin House Brass Brigade. We'll finish out the show with another original composition of mine. Next week, we have Yoshi Masuda, a world-class concert cellist and one of the heads of the music department at Cal Lutheran University, who's going to be coming in and providing some music for us next week. We wanted to let you know that if you have a suggestion for a local band, or I guess in the age of streaming, a not-so-local band that you want to suggest be featured on this show, please visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/4at4forums, and you can send us a message making a suggestion. We'd love to be able to feature local talent, or again, non-local talent for this great broadcast. And then finally, in the age of COVID, live performing music is it's not very easy to come by. So we want to encourage you to support live musicians. And if you liked what you heard today, we would love if you sent us a digital tip. I think we've got on the website peoplemedia.live a way to send us a digital tip, and I will gladly take whatever you send us, and I guess I'll have to give a little bit to these guys too. So listen, we really appreciate you listening in. We've got one more tune after everybody says goodbye, and thank you so much again for tuning on into 4 at 4 Forums.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to bring everybody back to say goodbye, and we're going to wrap up. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Please join us next Thursday and every Thursday at 4. You can see upcoming programs at our website at People Media Live. That's People Media Live. Next week, we are pleased to welcome a great panel on CFOs with Robert Purcell, the CFO of PaySafe, the $2 billion plus payment processor based in Westlake. Robert will be hosting a panel of CFOs with lead key advisors. To learn more, please register at 4at4 at peoplemedia.com, and always feel free to pop in on Thursdays. Thank you, everybody, and so long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Au revoir. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And now back to Paul Piazza.
Bye.